12:03 right now in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. It's Wednesday. That means it's time for Helping Seniors of Brevard. I'm John Harper. Jim Votro is here. Let's get things underway as I introduce the host of the show, of course, and the executive director of Helping Seniors of Brevard. Here is none other than Kerry Fink. Hi, Kerry.
Hey, John Harper. Thank you. It's always great to be here for our lunchtime gathering every Wednesday right here, 90.3 FM, WEJF, and we appreciate you if you're listening online, as a growing number of folks do, at WEJF.net. And, of course, we always take our radio broadcasts and turn them into podcasts because we want everybody to be able to get a hold of good information that's going to help them navigate their own senior aging plan. We call it helping you get your ducks in a row, and that's very, very important to do because we talk a lot here in Florida. We understand hurricane planning. It doesn't mean you want a storm. You just want to be ready. Aging planning is sort of the same thing. You just want to be aware of things that you could run into and think about them ahead of time. And so a lot of people love to catch this as a podcast wherever great podcasts are. It doesn't matter if it's iTunes or Amazon Play or if it's Spotify, iHeartRadio, doesn't matter. But this is a show that you may want to share with somebody that you know because we are going to be talking about help for veterans. And that's a very, very popular topic. And this show may or may not be appropriate for you, but almost everybody knows somebody or has somebody in the family that has served our country. And first of all, if you served our country, thank you for your service. But we have a real expert in-house with us today. His name is Danny Rodriguez. He's with one of the groups that really helps us do the work of helping seniors. It's called Thrive USA Homecare. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Kerry, for having me. Thank you, John, as well. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, when we were talking before we started the radio show, we said, it's really interesting because both John and Jim, who are our radio guys, are really both served. They were both Vietnam vets, and Joe Steckler, who was our founder for Helping Seniors, I was telling you before we got on the show, he was a retired Navy captain and just developed a lifelong love for seniors because his last command in the Navy was at the Navy's retirement home in Gulfport, Mississippi. And so when he and his wife retired here, he just really became all things about trying to make life better for seniors. But as a vet, he also understood the importance of looking after vets. And I really want to get into this because we were talking before the show that with your background, you served yourself, so thank you for your service, but also you know completely how to navigate the system, what things are available for vets and not. And I got to tell you, when we operate our senior information helpline, which I'm going to give you that number, so if you're listening and you want to jot this down, I'll give you just a second to grab a pencil. But that senior information helpline number took 4,500 calls last year from about everything: housing, legal, medical, financial, transportation, you name it, we take a call. But a lot of times they're from vets, or oftentimes could be the spouse of a vet trying to figure out how to get the vet some help. And so there, especially because we have now it's the Space Force base, originally it was the Air Force base, so we have a lot of retired seniors who served our country. And so this is all very important, but they need to know somebody like you, Danny, because they don't know even the questions to ask.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right? Knowledge is power here. Understanding the federal systems, it can be very, very difficult. And so sometimes you have to literally get trained, accredited even, to do so. I mean, it is one of the reasons we started Thrive USA Homecare. We saw that there was a very big gap, right? We had started the organization and we started getting referrals from the VA because we are a VA accredited organization. And we noticed that the veterans that we were getting from the VA were individuals that were on hospice.
Oh, wow.
And so, palliative care, you're looking at about 6 months to a year before that transition happens. Yeah. And so what really got to me was that we were getting all these veterans that were on hospice that could have had these benefits for a decade before that.
Wow.
Right? Because what most veterans don't realize is that, and you don't even need to be a service-connected disabled veteran to qualify for this, is that you can qualify for no cost, no out-of-pocket cost, in-home care, absolutely free through the VA, through a care in the community partner like Thrive USA.
Wow.
So you need to know that process. And what was happening was that the VA is not they're reactive, right? They're doing a lot with a lot. I don't want a lot of people knock on the VA, but it's actually amazing. And actually, here in Brevard County, it's really top notch. Really, one of the best VA systems I've seen, and I've traveled and seen quite a lot. But they have to deal with so much. So informing our veterans sometimes slips through the crack about these benefits that they have, and so that's where I came up with, hey, we got to get engaged, get out there, educate, engage, empower our clients. Those are our core values at Thrive, to ensure that they have all the tools to be able to, age gracefully in their own way, right? We want them to, everybody's aging journey is different. It's unique to themselves, but it's important for them to understand the tools that are available to them so that they can access that and maximize their life. And that's what we're here for.
What you're saying resonates so strongly, because when Joe founded Helping Seniors, we've been doing this now 15 years here locally, and the need for helping seniors is even greater than it ever was. Because I say here in Florida, we keep getting more seniors. Number one, more people are turning 65 than ever before in history, right?
Yep.
But then number two, this is the other half of it. People are just flat living longer, right? So now it's not uncommon that you meet somebody who's about to turn 100. I mean, before, that was like almost unheard of. And then the third thing is everybody seems to be moving to Florida, so we just keep getting more seniors that are just saying like, hey, we love the sunshine, we're coming to Florida,
exactly, right.
So everything that Joe talked about all those years ago is even more important now than it was then. But one of the things that he really said, even though I built up Brevard Alzheimer's and tried to create the best things in this county, which they operate wonderfully. They're great friends of ours to this day, called Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation. They operate the Joe's Club, which is senior daycare resources so caregivers can get some respite. But when I met Joe, he said, Kerry, what I learned, he said, some families will deal with cognitive challenges. He said, but every family deals with senior issues, and they don't know where to turn. I joke and I say, we live in a county where we launch rockets, so we literally have probably some of the smartest people on the planet living here, right? I mean, these are rocket scientists, but you get in a different lane, like what to do with mom or dad, and we don't know. So to the point that I wanted to ask you about, in helping seniors, we just do the best job we can to stay connected, because there are so many good resources, but you got to know where they are. And to me, it sounds like this is what you do with Thrive. This is like your philosophy in Thrive, is you know the system, so you're there to guide and navigate and make sure that the veterans are getting the care and the service that they deserve.
No, absolutely. I mean, we want them educated so that they have this process. Veterans shouldn't be paying for anything, too, right? And this is the thing. It's like all of this, the knowledge, the education as to how to get through the system and understanding the different programs there are, because that's what we do. We want to do that, and again, at no cost. Veterans should never come out of pocket for anything. And ultimately, what people don't realize is that the VA is actually broken up into 3 distinct administrations, right?
Oh.
And they have their individual secretaries, and they have their own, I guess, standard operating procedures, and it's the Veterans Health Administration, and that's where you're getting most of your medical and all that stuff. You have the CBOC out here in Viera. Then you have the Veterans Benefit Administration. That's the administration that deals with your educational benefits, disability compensation, survivors benefits, and then the national cemeteries. So those national cemeteries and burials, those are actually 3 distinct administrations inside of the VA.
See, and we don't know this stuff, right? I mean,
of course, nobody would. And most people get confused, and they're like, well, they don't talk to each other most of the time. You have to make them talk to each other before you can qualify for health care, but not qualify for benefits. You can qualify for the cemeteries, but not qualify for benefits or health care, potentially, right? So it's understanding what each individual sort of vertical is required. And so from the health side, we will help veterans navigate applying to the VA to get their eligibility for health care, where they can get either minimal copays or no copays, depending on level of disability, working with the VA directly. There's programs that are familiar out there to people, like the Aid and Attendance program, where there's monetary money that goes to a veteran to help them hire. But beyond that, there's a comprehensive caregiver support program where that can actually pay a live-in caregiver that lives with the veteran, a family member, to pay them and to help them take care of the veteran if they're disabled. The disability pension and compensation program, where a veteran gets service connected anywhere from 0 to 100% or plus, and gets a monetary value there. And also the caregiver home care program. So that's what Thrive is. We are a care in the community partner, whereas there are plenty of organizations out there that can do the services through the VA. We specialize in working with veterans. We are 98% of our clients, and actually in Brevard, it's 99% of our clients are veteran. And we are veteran-focused. We serve over 150 veterans every single day throughout this. So.
Wow. Well, first of all, you speak the language. You understand. You've been there yourself, so you understand the importance of being able to know how to get the right help at the right time. We talk about this a lot. So in our little Helping Seniors world, what we try to do is educate seniors about, we call it getting your ducks in a row, or making an aging plan. And we just call it getting your ducks in a row, so it doesn't sound like, wow, I have this assignment. I have to go get a 3-ring binder and some protractors and rulers and write out this college-level report. No, the point is that we're just trying to ask people to start to think ahead and line up the help that you might need as you're aging. So along the way, as we do a lot of classes at our Senior Resource Center, which is right in downtown Melbourne, and a lot of our media, like we were talking about, we're such a big county, we have to do, that's why we do the radio. It's why we publish every month in Senior Scene magazine. It's why we do television that broadcasts 3 times a day on Space Coast Government TV, and we're out on every social media channel you can find, YouTube, Facebook, you name it, X, LinkedIn, we're there, Instagram, because what we're trying to do is help seniors and their families make these plans. So 2 corollaries come up for us that we always try to enhance people's thinking. Like, say, okay, if we can get you to think ahead a little bit, just start working on this. And then we have some guidelines. We'll talk about 7 pillars and all that. But there's 2 things that we add to it. We say, number 1, don't try this on your own. You know, most of us love to get on the internet and start doing searches and, I'm going to figure out what my best is because of this. But like we said, you're in a lane that you don't know. And I don't know about you, but I'll get on the internet many times. I'll try to research something, and I can walk away more confused than I started with, because particularly like if it's something that's really technical, like do I qualify for this? You'll start reading stuff, and there'll be all these people postulating like, this is how it works, and then you'll find out they're not even in your state, or they don't have the right credentials, or the other thing that happens, you'll find out, well, that was true in 1974 when that article came out, but does it work today? I don't know.
Stories, everybody's going on there trying to self-diagnose themselves with things on there, like getting on there, and all of a sudden they're dying from everything.
Right.
Like they have,
So this is why we say you've got to get a hold of somebody who knows the lane. Like, everybody has a lane. Like we said, a rocket scientist, like, let's go talk how we're going to send a rocket to the moon. We got people who can talk all day about that. But that doesn't mean that they understand what kind of help is available for mom or dad, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that is exactly what we want to be, though. Really, we want to be a resource. If you go with Thrive, it's great. If you don't, and you have another organization in your area that you're working with, then do that too. Ultimately, we want everybody to thrive, right? That's why we've called ourselves Thrive. We want to really look at the positive side of aging, right? The longevity of aging, and doing it well, doing it as independently as you possibly can. And you do that by getting the resources to help you do this long term.
Yeah, right? That's so well said. You know, there's another point to this too, right? Because you're not only helping the veteran, but you're making such an impact for the families too, right? Because, granted, if the veteran is off by themselves, then they got to have help because they got nobody else to rely on. But a lot of times it's the family who's stressed out because we don't know what to do. This is happening, and for mom or dad, and they serve, but I don't know if they can get help with this. We don't know,
Such a good point. I mean, compassion fatigue is a real thing.
Yeah.
Right? So compassion fatigue is a loved one that is obviously compassionate about this person that they're trying to save and help and serve, but it's an around-the-clock job.
Yes.
Right? If you don't get respite, then how are you going to be able to be good for yourself, right? It's that whole adage, you go on a plane, they say, hey, if these masks go, you got to take care of yourself first and then put it on your kid, right? And so in this instance, when you are caring for somebody else, you need to make sure that you're in a good space yourself so that you can continue to care at a high level for that individual. So it is very, very important for the respite, for the caregivers, and you can get additional hours through the VA. I mean, the VA can approve you anywhere from 4 to 40 hours a week of free in-home services for people to help out with the activities of daily living, but also the independent activities of daily living, some light housekeeping, some meal preparation, some laundry services, right? We can do all of that stuff and ensure that the veteran and the family member, they get a break. Now they know that they're safe. Now they know they can leave their loved one at home for 2-3 hours and they go grocery shopping, or they get their nails done, or they go fishing, whatever it is. Whatever it is that they want to go do, and feel confident and comfortable that they have somebody that is there caring for their loved one at the same level that they do.
Yeah, you know, Danny, I was thinking as you were talking about this, we do a lot of work because there's a couple of initiatives we try to do the best we can with as helping seniors. One of them is we recognize the sacrifice that caregivers make, and so we actually have a caregivers conference that's coming up July 16th, I think, at our Senior Resource Center, and we're putting it together because we really want a panel discussion. We've been involved in these in the past. There was a great fellow with an organization called Caregiver.com, and he used to be able to do he used to do these and bring these on the road. He's no longer with us. He's gone on to his reward. But but we want to keep that work moving forward, because what was really interesting about it is we would gather all these experts in place, and then the caregivers would come. And it was a really great dynamic because it wasn't the experts like leading from like, let me just tell you what to do. It was a conversation. Oh, here's what I'm running into. And it became a really just a wonderful round table. And what I was going to say is I think the thing that you really seem to be able to offer a family is helping them understand, because corollary number one is don't try this on your own. Call somebody who really can help you. But the second thing we always tell people is don't be an ostrich. Don't stick your head in the sand, because usually what happens is you're calling us way later than you needed to call us, because first of all, when it gets that serious, you don't have as many options. It probably costs more, and now you're stressed out while you're trying to figure out what you're going to do. Whereas if you just rewind this a bit, start getting the information ahead of time, you know, because I'm thinking like when you were talking about the caregiver, you burn yourself out. Now the person you're caring for is in real trouble because you can't help. That's why you got to call you now.
And
right?
it doesn't start instantly, right?
No.
So like it's, again, you're getting into a government program. So depending on where you are in this program, it could take months potentially, right? With one of the VA systems that we work with, if you got through your entire program, and the way the process works is you have to have a VA primary care physician that you request a consult from that primary care physician to evaluate you for home care. You'll get an evaluation usually by a social worker that then decides, okay, you qualify for 10 hours, 16 hours a week of home care. From that date and approval date, depending on which VA system you're working with, it could be 7 months before the agency actually gets the authorization to come into your house. So to your point, if you wait that long and you are in need today of somebody for home care, you potentially could wait up to 7 months to be getting that services, which is ludicrous when you're talking about home care, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is somebody that needs assistance with activities of daily living. We're talking about transferring, ambulations, bathing. So basic necessities potential. And you don't need to be bedbound. It's just assistance. See, that's where it hangs people up.
Right.
I think the number one killer for veterans, especially, because, I mean, we are a little prideful, is pride.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't want help. We were in the military. We've been sucking this up since we were in the military. You were always told that, right?
Right.
Suck it up, buttercup, put some dirt on it. Here's some Motrin. Go walk out there. You know, it doesn't matter, right? That was what we've always been told in the military. So it's hard when we get to a point where maybe we do need help, but are we going to ask for it? Is it going to be as easy for us to ask for it?
Right.
And that's where it gets in the way. It does depend on, again, having a loved one that's willing to tell us, hey, let's just see what's available for you. If you don't like it, and that's a great thing, is if you don't like anything, you can always stop doing it. Right? But it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yes.
Right? And so, and luckily here in Brevard, you do have a pretty good turnaround time. You're probably not waiting much more than a month at the very most. It could be a little bit less. Brevard has a really good system in Orlando, the VA Medical Center that oversees this region. It's one of the best in the country, honestly.
Yeah.
And so they do a really, really good job, and they do fund it well, and they do get those helps out there. But you start early. You got to start early, and again, you could start with maybe getting approved for only 4 hours a week, because maybe all you need is help tying your shoe, making sure you get in and out of the shower safely so that you're not falling, right? and you get maybe 4 hours, 6 hours a week.
Right.
But if you progress, or say you end up having surgery for something, your knees or your hip, now you're already in the system. Getting an increase is much, much easier than getting into the system and going through the process of seeing your PCP and getting evaluated and then getting an onboarding with a care with a home care agency like Thrive USA. Right? We want to help them every step of the way.
Yeah,
So.
well, thank you for saying that, because I think one of the things that people, we often talk about this is like, okay, people will wait, and caregiving is one of those brutally insidious things. You've probably heard the story of, like, if you stick a frog in a pot of water and turn on the heat, they don't realize it's getting hot and they're going to die in there instead of just going, all I had to do was jump out and get some help, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's a little bit the same thing that's going on here, is that you think you have it under control. Like, okay, I can handle what's going on with my relative and it's okay. But over time, it becomes less okay, and then over time, it becomes even less okay. And so the sooner you start exploring what help is out there, the better off you are. I don't mean to put words, but I want to ask you, when would you want a veteran to give you a call? What point, or the spouse of a veteran or the family of a veteran?
When there is sort of even the inkling that there could be assistance would benefit them staying safe. Right?
Yeah.
Anything, right? We're talking about if there is even the inkling of that, that's the beginning of it. Just start investigating, because the process may take a while. So if you're not enrolled in VA healthcare, for instance, right? So we just skipped over, you're already enrolled. Well, guess what?
You may not
even be enrolled.
Right. You may not know how to do that.
Or if it even, which would take even longer, you're not automatically eligible. If you were a wartime veteran, you will automatically be eligible for some veteran, for some VA healthcare benefits right off the bat. But if you're not potentially at a wartime veteran, if you were during some of the peacetime, you may not automatically qualify for it, because it's going to be needs-based.
Right.
But that help is there. So what would we do there is work on them getting a disability rating, because then as a service-connected disabled veteran, even at 10%, you will automatically qualify for some level of health care. But again, that process now gets longer.
Takes time.
Right? Because now we're submitting a claim that has to then go through the VA vetting process. You'll have to go to a medical doctor, get evaluated. That claim gets sent back to a VA rater that then takes a look at it and then rates you based off of the Code of Federal Regulations, what your percentage would be, right? And then once you have that, then you apply to the VA healthcare. That's, you're basically filling out that 1010EZ form that then goes to the VA healthcare, where then you will automatically qualify, because now you're a service-connected veteran in a different priority group, right? If you're like a Purple Heart recipient, you're at a higher priority group. If you're a 100% disabled veteran, another priority group. So there's a lot of information there, but the main thing is you have to get in the VA healthcare system first. Then you get in the VA healthcare system. Then you're going back to getting a PCP appointment, whenever that can be, and then talking to the social worker, and then getting the referral. So there could be a big lead time here depending on where you are in the VA system, and that's why I would tell people to start as soon as possible. Just reach out and get the information.
Yeah, I was going to say, the moral of the story is, like, let's get going right away. So we're going to take a mid-show break. I want to make sure we're talking with Danny Rodriguez, who's the CEO of Thrive USA Homecare. They're actually, their headquarters up in the nation's capital, but you guys are, like, literally here in Florida. You're in Tennessee. It's a fast-growing company because there's so much need. How do people get in touch with you?
Well, I mean, there's a couple ways here for Brevard. They could just reach right out to us. You can go on our website, ThriveUSAHomecare.com. We have all of our contact information there. We are on Facebook as well. If you're on Facebook, you can send us a message through Facebook, Instagram, all of our contact information. Even if you go on our website, you can just send a message. It'll get directly to us as well.
Oh, that's great.
And then and I'll get you all of our numbers as well we can share.
Yeah. And we always tell people, like, a lot of times people are listening to radio, they could be driving around running errands, and they don't have a pen and a paper with them. So we always say, like, if you'll remember the Helping Seniors phone number, I'm going to give that here before we go to the mid-show break, so that you can jot it down. It's a great number to tack it to your refrigerator or something like that, because if you heard us talking about something on the radio, say, that really sounded good, but I didn't get a chance to write down. If you call Nancy or one of our great volunteers, they'll get you connected, make sure that you have it. So our phone number is 321-473-7770. It's 321-473-7770. As a nonprofit, we have no reason to do anything other than to try to help you. So give us a call and make sure you stick around. We'll be back with the second half of the radio show in just a moment.
12:34 in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. The show is called Helping Seniors of Brevard. Let's get back to it with the host of the show and the executive director of Helping Seniors of Brevard. Here's Kerry Fink. Kerry?
Hey, thanks, John Harper. Yeah, the second half of the radio show, we're having a great conversation with our very special guest, Danny Rodriguez, who is the CEO of Thrive USA Homecare, and they're while they're based out of the nation's capital area, up in well, wherever we call it, like Maryland, I would say. But basically, you guys are serving a lot here in Florida and serving a lot in Tennessee, and so we're really privileged to have you here. We're going to get to that conversation. We were talking a little bit about the help that is available for veterans, and it's an interesting thing because many veterans don't know all the benefits that exist and don't really even know how to pull them out. I just want, before we get there, I wanted to say we had a really lovely time. You know, May is Older Americans Month, and so our Brevard County Board of Commissioners each year is kind enough. I work with a group of people on a group called the Brevard Commission on Aging, and we're a group that is authorized, I guess, or under the auspices of the Brevard County Commissioners, and we're there to advise and assist and try to help make things better for seniors as a collective bunch of citizens who do a lot of work with seniors. So there's great people like Tom Camerdenner from Aging Matters is part of that. Dr. John Potomsky, a very respected geriatrician, is the chair of the group, and there's lots of great people. But yesterday at the county commissioners meeting, we got to have a wonderful time, and we select a couple of individuals every year who get a proclamation, because Brevard County Commissioners does a proclamation to honor the contributions of seniors and showing that there is very much vibrancy in seniorhood. And Joe Steckler, our own president, he received that award a couple of years ago. But yesterday, we were so privileged to honor one of our fellow Brevard Commission on Aging members. Her name is Helen Volz. She is a two-term county commissioner. They have term limits, so after 2 terms, that was it. She did that. Today, she's on the city council with the city of West Melbourne. She is a retired registered nurse by trade, and she always tells people she went to school while she was working. She is 78 years young and still making a difference every single day. So congratulations, Helen Volz. The other lady that was honored yesterday, her name is M.E. Kelly, and she's an Air Force veteran. Here we are talking about veterans, right? She has done a lot of work. She worked with the Sheriff's Department here locally, and most importantly today, she's the interim president of the United Way right here on Space Coast. And so it was really such a wonderful time to be there with our county commissioners, and I want to nod at them for recognizing the important contributions that seniors make. All too often, we get excited about trying to help kids, and we should. I mean, kids are important. They're the future. There's no question. But we owe a level of responsibility to the seniors. I always go a little bit, Danny. It's not unlike a veteran. These are the guys who paid their taxes their whole life. We got to take better care of them. And that's the point that you're after with Thrive USA Homecare is you understand what's available and how a senior veteran or a veteran, spouse of a veteran, how a family of a veteran can make life better for that person that they're trying to help through this. I wanted to ask a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your story. I know you served yourself, but how did this become like your life's mission?
So again, thank you again for having me here, and it's really impressive what Helping Seniors of Brevard is actually doing. I really want you to know that what you are doing here is really special and really going out of the way for the people that you serve in this community. Because I am, like you mentioned, we're in Maryland, D.C., we're in Florida here, and in Tennessee as well, but seeing the amount of investment that you're putting into making sure that you have that's not something that you see everywhere.
No.
So really, it is pretty tough. No, for real. And for me, it became sort of like my mission I got out of the military. I served, my 4 years active, 4 years reserve, and then I kept doing things in the military. I always felt connected in the Marine Corps when I got out of the Marine Corps, so I just wanted to keep doing that. I ended up working for a military placement company where I was helping veterans get jobs with Bradley Morris, and that was really rewarding as well. It was a lot of grinding. It was really rewarding, and then I ended up starting working with the Wounded Warrior Project, and worked there as as an outreach specialist, and then eventually an alumni manager. At which point, then I came and started Thrive sort of shortly thereafter, and. Like I mentioned before, we were getting a bunch of people that were not getting the news early enough that they had these benefits available for them to get free in-home services through the VA. And so I reached out to the VFW, my local VFW, went over there, and I remember it was right, like, COVID had just kicked off, so everybody is gone. The VFW sort of shut down. I'm like, hey, how do I talk to people there? And they're like, well, you can just come in and you can do like a virtual sort of communication, and that's the first thing that I did. And then they ended up roping me in, and they were like, hey, why don't you volunteer more with the VFW? I'm like, well, you know what? Why not? I do want to do this more often. I want to get out there. Eventually, they got me in. I was a junior vice commander, and I worked my way on up the chairs to now I'm actually the post commander of VFW Post 3285 in Frederick, Maryland. But I am. Even in that process, there was still so much more knowledge to get from this VA benefit side of the house that I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. Or I just really love. I really just love the work that I do with the veterans. That I said, okay, well, I'd like to look for a part-time job working as an accredited service officer, which is what I ended up doing. So I'm an employee as well of the state of Maryland for the VFW. For the VFW, and I'm a nationally accredited service officer through them as well. Because, I mean, there's just so many levels of assistance that need to be done, and they're siloed, right? You have the benefit side, then you have the health side, and it's just it's all individual. So trying to get that knowledge base up for me, I felt would only help every veteran that I ever serve, right? So that's...
that's so important, because I was thinking as you were saying that, my mind was going back to Joe, who with a lifetime of service. He and I would have a lot of these conversations. He goes, Kerry, there's got to be more services out there for seniors. And I would say, Joe, of course I agree. I mean, we have in this county, in particular, we have a lot of great things for kids. In fact, in this county, we love our kids. We pay a lot in our property taxes because we want them to have good schools. In fact, we love our kids so much in this county that we voted in an extra half-cent sales tax. So every time you go to the store or buy something, buy a car, whatever, you're actually half a percent of whatever that was is going to help make sure kids have really good schools here. So I'm all for that. We raise kids, love it. But we have more seniors over the age of 65 than we do kids under 18 in this county. And so the question is, as Joe would always say, there's not enough services for seniors. And I remember I would say, like, I agree with that, Joe, but here's the question. Is it that there isn't services for seniors, or is it also that seniors don't know where to look? Because if a program exists and it could be of help, but somebody doesn't know about it, it might as well not exist, right? Absolutely. And so what you're doing is you're helping seniors uncover, because you know how to navigate the system. I know anytime you're trying to fill out any kind of a government form, it's totally intimidating. Oh, sure. You look at, they give you, like, you have to click one of these three boxes, and neither one is exactly right? It's someplace between the first and the second, and you don't know. And I was thinking, too, you must be very valuable, maybe, to helping people who maybe tried something and it got disqualified. So then they would say, like, well, I guess I can't do that. But it was because they didn't know how to do the forms correctly.
That's a really good point, honestly. And it's a good thing that you bring that up, because often people will get dissuaded with that, right? It's easy to go through all that. You started doing all that on your own. You filled out all those forms. You send it back, and then, boom, you get it back, and it's denied. Yeah. Right? And you're like, well, that's it. I just can't, I just can't do it, obviously. Right. It's never the case. One of my favorite things to tell my team is always, the answer is always no unless we ask.
Right. That's good.
So let's ask, right? Let us ask, right? And let's see. Let the VA say no. But there's also laws change, right? So as a service officer, I have to go through training twice a year for a week-long training where we get all together from all over the country down into the D.C. area, the MVA area, and we would look at basically all the new laws, anything that has changed, and things happened. I mean, not too long ago, the VFW was instrumental in helping pass the PACT Act, right? The PACT Act opened up eligibility not only for health care, but also for disability benefits and compensation for many of our Vietnam veterans, ionized radiation-exposed veterans, our Persian Gulf veterans, and the likes. And you could have previously been denied for, say, hypertension or type 2 diabetes.
But maybe now.
But now, not only are you qualified, you'll automatically qualify.
Yeah.
So there are certain conditions now. Say you're a Vietnam-era veteran, you actually went to Vietnam, right? You have a Vietnam Service Medal, or you went to Thailand. There's other areas in the area. There are other countries in the area that you would also qualify for this. And you were exposed to Agent Orange, and now you have type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure, right? Well, those are presumptive conditions due to your exposure to Agent Orange.
Wow.
So what does that mean? So this is getting into like the weeds a little bit here. So for the VA to rate you for any condition, 3 things are needed. The first thing and most important thing is an in-service incident, right? And an incident can be anything from an illness to an injury to an exposure, like to Agent Orange, that happens to you while you're in service. The second thing is a current condition. You must be diagnosed with something currently, because the VA is not going to compensate you. You stubbed your toe. Guess what? That's not the VA's fault.
You're on your own.
Yeah, exactly. That's not the VA's fault. You have that, and it's not an ongoing issue. But if you were exposed to something and now you have developed something, the third thing that you need is a nexus, is a link tying your current condition with your in-service incident. So what the VA has done with these PACT Act is it basically took and is granting you 2 of those 3 things. It's granting you the in-service incident, and it's granting you the nexus. So the only thing that you need is a diagnosis.
Right.
And the list is pretty comprehensive. I can't go down the entire list off memory, but it is available out there, and I'm happy to share that data with you all. But for Vietnam veterans specifically, those 2 are the most common, but Parkinson's, which is very common for our elderly population. If you're a Vietnam-era veteran and you have Parkinson's or even Parkinsonism, you have high blood pressure, you have any heart disease, any type 2 diabetes, all of those are automatic qualifiers for VA disability compensation pension. And in the great state of Florida, if you are a 100% service-connected disabled veteran, you don't even pay property tax.
Wow.
So you can get property tax exemption here as a 100% service-connected veteran. So it is very, very important that if you have applied in the past, or if you just want to know if you're eligible for it, just do it. Don't let pride get in the way. Because I'll tell you, these politicians up there in D.C. that can serve for 2 years in the House of Representatives, they're not turning down their benefits package when they leave, So let me just tell you that, right? They're not turning down their benefits package. So our men and women throwing their bodies against the walls, doing countless things that nobody should ever do or see.
Right.
They've earned every bit of this benefit, and they should ask and get every bit that they have earned. These are not deserved stuff. This is not a handout. In fact, it should be easier for veterans to get benefits than it is nowadays.
Yes.
But the reality is, this is what they have to go through, and you've earned every bit of this. Just don't be dissuaded by it. Let it talk to. It doesn't need to be me. Any accredited service officer. Brevard County has DAV, super strong organization in Brevard County. They are an amazing resource. I would lean on them heavily as well, because in Brevard, DAV does a great job. They have multiple locations. I would recommend people go there. If you want feedback, I'm happy to give it as well. But it is. Go to somebody that knows, right? Go to an accredited representative, right?
That's what we always say is, like, why do you have to try to get a doctorate in this kind of stuff? What you need to do is have somebody who knows this, who can help guide you. And we say that about so many areas, Danny. It happens when we talk about elder law. It happens when we talk about people trying to figure out their Medicare or Medicaid questions. We have all this conversation. We say, like, why are you trying to beat your head against the wall and figure this out, because the best you're going to do is an internet search, and you're going to come up with some things that are useful, some things that are inappropriate, some things that don't even work, instead of just talking to somebody who's here locally that can walk you through it. And you have a presence here locally, and so people can call and say, like, hey, I just want to figure this out. Do I qualify? Where do I sit on what's available? And why would you not do that? I mean, so that's a point I wanted to ask you about too, because you hit on it already. We find a lot of times when we're talking to particularly the adult children of a senior, and this could be just not have anything to do with VA or anything like that. Maybe it's just, we realize mom needs some extra help at home, but mom is like, no, I got it. And it's like a control thing. They don't want to give up the control. And so I could only imagine it's that times 10 when you're talking with a veteran. It's like, they just have that pride thing. Like, that's a big thing to get across.
It is, and it's hard to overcome. Sometimes it takes them having to have, unfortunately, a fall or something that actually, and it shouldn't get to that point, right? And so as long as we, I think, try to educate our people to just understand that this is your earned benefit. Start early. Just look and see what you have. Don't turn anything down. Think about these politicians that are taking, that your taxes are paying for all of their health insurance and their medical benefits. Just get what you have earned, right?
I was going to say, you worked for this, because I was thinking like this, the same person that says, well, I don't want to do that, because, and I was thinking like, well, so does that mean if you went into your employer and you did your 40 hours and you just said, no, please keep half of that, because I don't,
exactly.
Like, I worked for this.
And I get it, right? So veterans, honestly, I don't know if they use the term disability because they know that in our brains, we don't want to say we have disability. Right.
No, but who does?
Right.
Who does?
Right.
Right.
And so what it comes down to, I think they do that to play on our pride, and then ultimately, we do it to ourselves, right? Where we are like, well, there's people way worse off than me, and that may be 100% true, right? You may not be an amputee, but that doesn't mean that you have not earned some benefits.
Yes.
An amputee is going to get more benefits than you. You're not taking anything away from anybody by you applying for the things that you have earned.
100%.
You're taking nothing away from any other veteran. I just want that, because that's the thing I hear the most often, right? Oh, I'm okay. I'm not. And this is a Vietnam veteran that's had a heart attack, right? This is like, and I'm like, okay, you might be okay right now, but why would you not take advantage of getting this benefit that is earned for you, getting more medical coverage, getting assistance at your house, getting more money so that you can live more comfortably? Maybe you hire somebody that you want.
Right.
There's so many different avenues to help you sort of, again, age gracefully in your own way, right? So just definitely go out there. And I try to keep myself available anytime I go. Like you mentioned, we do have a local presence. I travel quite a lot, but we have a presence here in Melbourne, actually. We're just moving to Melbourne from Cocoa, our office in Cocoa, and we're right here in Brevard.
Good.
We are going to have a veteran. We have a veteran benefits liaison that's going to be here.
Good.
Our operations manager Julie Goulet is based right here in Melbourne as well.
Absolutely.
And we serve. Brevard is our flagship county, but we serve Brevard, Osceola, Seminole, and Orange counties. That's our region in Florida that we are serving. But we keep ourselves very local here to Brevard. This is sort of home for us. One of the chairman of our board, he did quite a lot of work with NASA here. He's an Air Force officer as well, and they did some contracting out here. And so this Space Coast became home, right? And this is actually going to be the Brevard, the 38th annual All Veteran Reunion here in Wickham Park is happening this week.
Wow.
This is the 4th year that Thrive will have be there, and I literally will set up shop there. I'll talk to veterans all day long. I'll stay there all day, up to the night. If they have questions, I'll answer the questions. And if I have time, I'll even help them with their claims on site. So I have internet. And I have my computer there. We will get it all set up, and I'll actually do that. It is. This is like my passion, right? I probably put in something like 80 hours a week. I'm compensated for like a quarter of that.
I get it.
And ultimately, this has become not like it's a life passion. It's not work. It's not.
No, it's your mission. It's your calling. Exactly.
It's my purpose.
No, it makes so much sense. And I will also say, when you get somebody that knows how to navigate correctly and who also cares. That's really the almost the key to success right there. So I'm really so glad that we've had this chance to talk. This is Danny Rodriguez with Thrive USA Homecare. Let's go one more time how we get a hold of you and get more information. I think the website that you mentioned was really a good place to start.
Great place to start. You can get a hold of us directly there. That's thriveushomecare.com. That's spelled out THRIVE USA homecare.com. That's the best place to get us. Our local Brevard number is 321-407-2727. Or you can call us anywhere at our 1-800 number, which is 877-220-VET1.
That's great. Yeah, and again, if you missed any numbers or any information, just give us a call on our number, 321-473-7770. We'll get you connected. And I'm so excited because we're going to get to sit down in our TV studio with Danny later this week and put together a show, and I know we're gonna hit a lot of these points, and I'm excited about that. Before we go, I wanted to share a couple of dates that I want to make sure you get on your calendar. This Friday, it's our second Friday of the month, so we always do a thing with our friends from AARP called Walk with the Doc. So you're welcome to come out to Merritt Square Mall and join us at 9 a.m. We'll walk around the mall. It's air conditioned, so it doesn't matter if it's hot or if it's raining or whatever. We just have a great time. It's free. Come join us. Also, Friday, 1 p.m. at the Senior Resource Center of Brevard, 1344 South Apollo, we continue our work in the Senior Planet. We call it Senior Tech Talks, and it's led by Bree Prentice, who is a millennial instructor. And this time our topic is going to be AI and disinformation. So we want to keep you safe on all that. I also want to remind you real quickly before we go, a couple other dates. May 13th, which is a week from today, we're going to be out at One Senior Place as part of AARP Senior Appreciation Day. It's a free lunch, a free opportunity to be out there and meet all these great people, including all your folks from Helping Seniors. And on the 15th, it's Scam Jam. There might be a seat or two left, so call Nancy today. It's free, but it's at the Brennedy at Melbourne. And so that is 321-473-7770. She'll tell you about that. Last but not least, on June 27th, we're having Cars, Cuisine, and Community at the Helping Seniors Resource Center. And we're going to have it's a doctor's office, so we get to take over the parking lot because it's a Saturday. So it's going to be a great classic car show outside with our friend Bill Antonitz. Great. We're going to have open house upstairs. And then Chef Jillian is calling all of her favorite restaurant folks like Yellow Dog Cafe and so many others that are going to be up there. And that's a fundraiser for Helping Seniors. So you can get more information about that at helpingseniors.brevard.com. So that's about the time we have for our radio show today. We thank you for joining us each Wednesday, 12 noon on WEJF. We'll see you right back here next week. Have a great week until then.